Today, I just kind of want to start with a little intro to Reviewer and kind of why we're hosting this webinar. So as many of you may know, Reviewer is an applicant management software. So any sort of program where you're intaking any sort of application, we are able to run it. So that is anything from scholarships to grant programs. We also run awards programs. We run things like contests, competitions. We run all sorts of things, call for speakers, call for abstracts. But today, on this call particularly, we are going to focus mostly on grants and scholarships. That's kind of where we're focusing around. And the reason Reviewer is hosting this webinar today is over the years, we have ran thousands of different scholarship and grant programs. So just throughout all of those programs that we've ran, we've seen a lot of mistakes that happen within the programs. And then we have seen a lot of solutions and some great things that are done to kind of combat some of those and some alternatives. So here today, I'm just here to kind of offer some solutions, show you what that can possibly look like, and just trying to shed some light on some um, of the common mistakes we're seeing in the space. So, my name is Callie. I run all of our marketing here at Reviewer. And we have kind of pulled together these mistakes from a lot of what we have heard from clients and just in the scholarship and grant space in general. So, with that being said, we are going to hop right in with today's webinar. It is the 10 mistakes managing corporate giving programs. And I would like to know as I'm getting started here that the chat is open. So as I'm going along, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. All right, so today I'm kind of going to split it up into three different sections. So we are going to go over the applicant experience and all that has to do with that, also including references in the applicant experience. The second one will be review and selection. So this is everything to do with your judging, your review process, your scoring, scorecards, that kind of thing. And then operations. So operations is typically your guys' end of things. This is your management and how you are running these programs. And then overall, in today's webinar, we're going to give kind of some key takeaways and maybe some possible ideas for solutions or things that we're seeing that are working great within all of these categories. So to start right off, the first mistake we see very commonly is high friction applications that drive away applicants. So, kind of the problem we've been seeing, just to start out, is confusing requirements or unclear instructions, long, overwhelming forms that can't be saved. What we see a lot here at Reviewer is if you don't have an ability to save and log out or save and come back in, we will see applicants go in, start filling out your forms, realize they may be missing something or they might need to write an essay or get a transcript or some type of text documentation, anything like that. They will come back in after they have gotten those things and none of their work will be saved. Typically, when this happens, we see that they don't end up completing the form. So that is where we are losing a lot of our applicants. The next one is non-mobile workflows. So essentially in 2025, almost 2026, we're seeing a lack of ability to be able to access these forms on iPads, tablets, phones, things like that. And then technical barriers that favor well-resourced applicants and organizations. So that is just overall technical barriers that these applicants are struggling with. So some of our solutions is a dedicated applicant platform. So that is what Reviewer is. That is a single destination, making sure all communication, all applications, all judging, everything is done in one central spot. This will help reduce a lot of the issues we're having with lack of clarity. The next one is progressive disclosure. So only showing relevant fields based on responses. So this is an option where if say they answer yes, then they get more questions. If they answer no, they don't. That is kind of making the form so that if they don't need the longest version of the form, then they would never see it. Auto save functionality. This one is a big one. Them being able to create account super quick, start filling out their form. If they need to leave for any reason, save and come back. Giving them the opportunity to do that, we see boosts applications being submitted significantly. So that's awesome. Simplified document collection. So just a drag and drop, clear formatting guidelines. We have seen this happen quite often where they may only be allowed within your form to upload a PDF, but they're trying to upload a CSV or a Word document or something like that. So there's a lot of confusion there. So making sure that those guidelines are super clear and super easy. Real-time validation, being able to catch errors before they are submitted. So, for example, not letting them submit the form unless all fields are completed. So you don't end up getting half complete applications. And then the last one is application status tracking. So this is the ability to be able to know where your applicants are at. They know how much they have left. You know where they at if they've started, submitted, things like that are um, really awesome. Oh, so moving right along, the second mistake we are commonly seeing is ineffective, outdated reference and recommendation collection. So if you are getting any sort of recommendation or any sort of reference for your grants or your scholarships, this is what we're gonna kind of roll through now. And some of the problems we have been seeing is chasing these references all over email. You might receive their reference by email from them, which then they would read their reference before it actually gets sent to you, or you're trying to track down the person that is recommending them. Um, to try to get stuff from them through email, which can be super, super messy. And then the next thing is outdated kind of models. Typically, what we see a lot is kind of essay format for your recommendations. And the issue with this is I might be a much better writer than a different recommender. So, is it really fair to base a recommendation or a reference off of that? So some areas to kind of combat that, give you some ideas, is a structured templated reference workflow. So essentially what this looks like is you would start out with an automated email. The person will fill out your form. They will put in the email of their recommender. Um, for example, with reviewer, when they hit submit, it will automatically send an email out to that person saying that they have put them down as a reference, and they can come in and um, build, fill out their reference form. The next thing is built-in reminders and deadlines. So within Reviewer, if they haven't submitted their reference, it'll keep reminding them on a cadence that you can set up. Emails will automatically go out for you to kind of keep track of those rather than you trying to send them out and get them all in. And then one thing we're recommending at Reviewer is moving towards a standardized rating scale rather than um, a written recommendation because we feel as though you can get more of a gauge of these people based on that. So you might have a couple of questions and they will rate the applicant 1 through 5 on that. Again, we don't recommend just a 1 through 5 rating. We recommend that you actually put an emotional response behind those numbers because what could be a 3 to me might be different for somebody else. What does a 3 really mean? So putting an emotional response like exceeds expectations, below expectations, very good, good, things like that to kind of help your recommenders. And then the last one is real-time completion dashboards for you guys. So that's being able to see if they're completed or not, how many of them are out, how many applications you have, all of that kind of stuff in real time. So, our third mistake we're going to move into, and then after this, I'll kind of show you what some of this looks like, just so you can kind of see possibly what this would look like kind of out in a real program. Um, and that is no eligibility checks. So this is something that we see happen very often where an applicant will come in, they will fill out the entire form, get everything they need, they will click submit. You will then get it and realize they aren't even eligible for this grant or scholarship that they just applied for. So that's wasting a lot of time for your applicant and wasting a lot of time for you guys as admins running these programs, having to sift through and make sure people are actually eligible. So, some of our solutions to that are a pre qualification screening. So, essentially, what this is within Reviewer is it'll ask a series of questions, just a couple that you set up, to determine if they're qualified. And if they are qualified, they'll hit submit and it'll pop them straight into the form and they'll be able to get going. And if they are not qualified, it'll give them a little note that says, I'm sorry, you're not qualified, that kind of thing. And then also, smart matching. Goes into that. So if you are offering multiple scholarships or multiple grants, having the opportunity to fill out the little series of questions, and then they will be told which scholarships or grants they qualify for, if they qualify for multiple or just one, things like that. So that is also awesome. So I'm going to kind of show you guys what this looks like a little bit so you can kind of visualize it. So let me hop right in. So this is a mock scholarship program within Reviewer. So as you can see, when you come in, you have company logo and branding with whatever your program might be, and they can create a little account right here. They will pop in applicant information. And then here is the scholarship matching tool. So they'll ask a series of questions, as many or as little as you would like. And then they will see what they're qualified for. So as you can see here, they're qualified for 3 different scholarships, and they can choose which ones they want to apply to. So then it will pop them right into the form where they can start filling stuff out, things like that, put in all their information. We have things like file uploads for videos or whatever file upload you may need within your form. And then once they are completed, they are able to go into supplemental forms. Say if they forgot something and they need to come back and upload a transcript or something later, they can come in and add new and upload stuff for you. And you'll be able to see when they have those in. So now we're going to look at the reference experience really quick. So this is within their form. As you can see here, they need 2 letters of recommendation. So they put in their 2 recommenders, their name, their email, and then Reviewer will automatically send an email out to them that says reference request for this person for this scholarship, that kind of thing. And then they will go in and fill out this form. Um, Oops, I went too far, but as you could see there, it was a number scale, not submitting a full-on essay, things like that. And then here is your dashboard where you can see how many transcripts have been uploaded right here. You can see how many references, total entries, days left in your program. And if you look at this box right here, you can see how many are accepted, how many are incomplete, pending, ready for you to look at, things like that. And then here you can go check and see what they've uploaded and see it right within Reviewer. And then last thing, I'll just show you really quickly what your admin side looks like. So here's all of this. You can kind of keep track of your program in real time, which is awesome. You get to see deadlines and dates. If you have those, it'll draw you out a little timeline. And then you can see notes from your judges on anything they might have within their judging process will pop up right there for you. All right. So we are going to move into our fourth mistake, and this is bias risk for exposing personality identifiable information. So essentially, there are 2 things that we have been seeing. One, it is that your judges may possibly know the people they are evaluating, so that can create a lot of bias within that. Another thing is data security. So, if you're collecting very sensitive data, maybe you're collecting different tax information. Maybe you're collecting um, applicant social security numbers. Any sort of sensitive data that you may be collecting is viewable to your judges, which can also create bias along with that. So, our solution to that is the redaction of data. So within Reviewer, we are actually able to hide some of those things. You can blind them so your judges aren't able to view that data. So that is your automatic data redaction. You can hide names, you can hide photos, you can identifying details, anything like that. Blind review mode, if you want to grade only on merit alone, that would be an option of blinding everything that has to do with the applicant, all of their information. Configurable redaction rules control exactly what your reviewers are seeing. And then streamlined review views, hide data not necessary for the evaluation. So you're only putting in what your reviewers need to score this on a scorecard. So, number 5 is ignoring reviewer scoring tendencies. Now, this is a big one, and I'll kind of show you what this looks like because it's better to visualize it than just me saying it. So, the problem that we're seeing is a lot of programs or judges will have really harsh judges and a really generous judge. You might have both ends of the spectrum. And the issue with that is me as an applicant, I'm obviously really going to want to get scored by the more generous or easier judge versus the harder judge. Um, and then the next one is drift patterns. Essentially, so if you are assigning applicants to judges, say in alphabetical order, and my last name is an A, and I am evaluated by 3 judges, and I'm evaluated first or second almost every single time versus other people who might be last every single time. The issue with this is just by human nature, as judges score more and more. Applications as they're going down, their first one is probably going to be scored at their full ability versus their last. That's just human nature. We might get going quickly, faster as we're going through things. So we do see some discrepancies within that. Oh, excuse me. And then fatigue effects. So this is just your reviewers kind of being fatigued from scoring lots of applications. So the solution to that is automatic score normalization. So this is a way to combat the generous scorers versus the super hard scorers. And I'll show you what that looks like in a sec with the numbers so you can kind of visualize it. Um, the next one is multiple reviewers per application. This is something that we are kind of recommending here at Reviewer for a lot of programs is not having an application just being judged once by one judge, having it judged multiple times by multiple judges. Randomization submission order. So having that option to just randomize which applications are assigned to which judges to try to make it as fair as possible. And then we are recommending things like calibration sessions. So sitting down with your judges, making sure that they know exactly what you're looking for, that their scorecards and judging is aligned with the organization's mission, what you're trying to accomplish within these programs, just making sure that they're all on the same page before they start judging. And then the last one is real-time variance monitoring. So if you do have an outlier, being able to catch that super quickly is important. So say you have an applicant scored 5 times and everybody is scoring them in the 30s and then somebody scores them a 7. Being able to look at that red flag, see it immediately and kind of take a second look at that is super important. All right. And my last one before I kind of show you some of the visualization of this is just overloading reviewers and triggering volunteer fatigue. We know at Reviewer that most of the time your judges are within your organization or volunteers that you've just kind of popped on to help you evaluate some of these. So their time is really important. So some of the things we're seeing is volume is too high for the available review window, if they have a very small window to kind of finish those in a lot, that can be really taxing. Material is inconsistent, incomplete, or disorganized. Navigation between applications is clunky. If they have to download all of these PDFs and documents that have been uploaded onto their own computer and they're kind of snapping back and forth, that can get difficult and kind of overload them. And then no visibility on their workload or their progress, not being able to see how much they've done, what they have left, things like that. So, some quick solutions to that before I hop in and show you are balanced workload distribution. So, trying to make sure you don't have too many reviewers doing too many applications. Organized, consistent presentation. Materials are formatted identically for all of your reviewers. We recommend that every reviewer is on the same grading scale. So somebody's not grading 1 through 10 and somebody else is grading 1 through 5. Keep them all the same. Progress dashboards, your judges being able to see where they're at in their queue. Session breaks, remind reviewers to pause, refresh before they just do them all in one. And then appreciation workflows, thanking reviewers automatically and really showing their appreciation for taking all the time to do this stuff for your programs. So now I'm going to kind of hop into the review and selection area. All right. So this is what it would look like if you were a judge and you logged in. For example, if you are wanting to redact data, as you can see here, the submission name in the team is redacted out, so your judge wouldn't be able to see that if that's an option you are looking for. Then they can hop right in and just click view of the form. Right here, this is another example. If there are certain things that you would like blinded from your judges, that's what it would look like right here. And then they are able to judge the submission and the scorecard simultaneously, side by side. They can see their total points right here as they're putting those in. And then they are able to click in and see any uploaded forms right there in Reviewer. They don't have to download anything, any PDF, anything like that. They could just see right in there next to their scorecard as they're scoring down. Now, this is your real-time progress tracking, so you will be able to see that. So as you can see, there is an applicant here, and here are all of the scores they've been getting from judges. So for an example right here, we see that the highest score he has gotten is a 31, and most of them are pretty consistent. And then we have a judge that scored them all the way at a 12. So being able to see this and see when that outlier is there and kind of raise the red flag is super important. And how we can kind of combat that type of thing is score normalization. So essentially what this is you have all of your judges up here and the scores they gave each applicant. So as you can see, Judge Judy gave an average score out of all the applications she judged. Her average score was a 23.8. So she's kind of a tough grader. Then you see Tony over here is a little bit of an easy grader, and he gave the average score of a 34.1. So essentially, what score normalization is their average score will become a 1. So, for example, Judge Judy, I think, was a 23%. So that is considered a 1 if an applicant scores that. If they score above that, then it would be a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, like that, and so on above. And if they score below her average, then it would go below. So this is a way to normalize the scores. And then your true winner with the highest score will be visible this way. Hopping back into our slides here. I'm going to move right along to rewarding the wrong traits. This is just kind of some ideas we want to put out there. Overall, kind of an issue we've been seeing is overweighted scoring when it comes to things like GPA or test scores, organizational organizational budget size for things like grants, or prestigious affiliations. And what we're seeing some of our clients move towards, which has been pretty awesome, is putting more value within their forms on things like storytelling and voice. Lived experience, resilience, community impact potential, their goals, what they're looking to do within the community, and mission alignment. How do they align with your organization's values? So, the solution to that is kind of mission aligned rubrics. So this is weighting criteria by your values and your organization's mission. And then the next one is holistic scoring categories. So that is just being able to balance quantitative versus qualitative factors. And then clear criteria definitions. So reviewers know how to evaluate consistently. They know exactly what a seven means. You might possibly provide some examples of what has been scored a seven in the past to kind of help them along with that. And then regular rubric audits. This is something we really recommend year to year as you're running these grant and scholarship programs. Um, Being able to review those every year. And at the end of the program, look at the people that you awarded. And do we feel like there are any qualities our organization has that these winners are missing? How do we then incorporate that into our next year's judging and scoring? We think is super important to at least take a look at every year. All right, number eight is using unstructured or inconsistent evaluation methods. So this is things like vague rubrics, big open-ended questions like rate the proposal, rate this applicant, things like that are just super minimal and can be confusing for judges. Free-form comments only, no actual values, judges just giving you a little blurb about what they think. Inconsistent rating scales, like I said, somebody judging 1 through 5, somebody else judging 1 through 10. And then no anchor descriptions. So, like I said, what does a four actually mean? So putting kind of an emotional response to those, or kind of a little description of what a four means to you within your organization for all of the judges, or the scale of very good, um, stuff like that. So the solutions to those, I know I kind of touched on them, are defined criteria, just clear categories tied within your selection, weighted scores. So this, if you have maybe some questions that you value the answers to that question more than others, being able to weight those, giving those more weight in their application score, if those are more important to your organization. Standardized scales, like I said, anchor descriptions, and then required justifications. This is possibly an opportunity you guys could look at doing, is having judges put comments for really extreme scores. So if somebody scores one person super, super high or super, super low, kind of them putting a little bit of a justification, so you can kind of go in there and double check where things are at. All right, number nine is treating post award workflows as an offline afterthought. So the first thing we're kind of seeing is acceptance packets or all of the things you need to sign or whatever paperwork needs to be done after your program. Getting sent via email. Sometimes it gets lost for your applicants, goes to their spam. You have to coordinate a lot of back and forth to get those things submitted to you. Fund disbursement forms tracked within spreadsheets. This is leaving a lot of room for human error when it comes to the numbers. Thank you letters and grant agreements managed manually. Again, so all of that going out through email, going out through letters, things like that. Proof of enrollment chased down individually. So you're constantly going back and forth trying to get all of the proof and things that you need for the people who or organizations who receive your awards. Progress reports and impact documentation forgotten. So not getting those progress reports from your grantees or your um, scholars is can be super detrimental because when this program is all said and done, we know that you have to report the impact of these back to your organization. So making sure you have those progress reports from them that then you can use to kind of tell a story about this program to your organization. And then renewable scholarship documentation overlooked or not getting done or forgotten. So, some solutions to that are automated acceptance workflows. So you can set those up within Reviewer once your winners are picked. They will automatically, on certain dates, get packets, forms, agreements, confirmations. They will automatically, if it's not submitted, get notifications that they need to complete it. Built-in document collection. So that's enrollment verification, progress reports, renewals. They can go back in within the platform and upload anything that you need. It'll also send them reminders to do that. So you can kind of use their stories and things for impact after the program. Disbursement tracking integrated with your finance process, we think is super important. And then impact dashboards. So that is having these reports readily available, super easy to pull for you. Within Reviewer, we have a lot of different reports, templates that you can automatically pull to take back to your organizations to kind of prove the impact of your program year to year, things like that. Then we also have options to build custom reports if that's something your organization is looking for. So now we are on our last one, which is mishandling sensitive applicant data and creating compliance blind spots. So this is just a super important one to touch on before we end, just because we have seen things like email threads with very sensitive attachments. These are getting sent across the web, which is putting some of their sensitive data at risk. Shared devices with loose permissions, unprotected folders on local machines, spreadsheets with financial documents, transcripts, all sorts of those things. And then we also see sometimes when we are using forms like, say, Google Forms or something like that, and applicants are inputting a lot of their sensitive data, it can put them at risk because once those are put into those platforms, you can't really be sure where that information is going and if it really is protected. So if you are collecting a lot of sensitive data, this can be super important. So some of our solutions to that is centralized encrypted storage. This is like one secure system. This is something that we offer at Reviewer. I mean, we take the data security of our platform super seriously. So you know that when that data is entered within the platform, it's not going anywhere. We have security compliance standards and certifications to uphold that. Um, and then role-based access control. See only what you need. So this may be things like judges not seeing super sensitive information. Audit logging. So track who accessed things and when. This is something that will automatically be tracked within Reviewer. When are your judges logging in? What are they looking at? But if you are collecting sensitive data, knowing who's accessing that is super important just to have for your personal records within your organization. And then automatic data retention policies. So that is deleting information when it is no longer needed, not storing this stuff for big lengths at a time, just for safety for your applicant. So to kind of bring it all together, some of just kind of laying you out a little workflow that we have seen um, be really beneficial for a lot of our clients is starting with number one, which is the smart discovery and matching. So applicants know what they qualify for when they are submitting. Frictionless application. So those are those like autosave, just making sure that the applicant experience is the best that we can possibly make it. Because at the end of the day, these scholarships and grants are for these organizations and these students. And the third one is a fair, structured review process, making sure that your review process is as fair and secure as you can possibly make it is a big priority. And then four is seamless post award. So making sure that that is not a huge heavy lift on your end, being able to get all of that done. And then overall, five is just a secure, compliant foundation. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, thank you guys for coming to our webinar today and be on the lookout for our follow up.